Okay, close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You're looking at a breathtakingly beautiful tropical island. We're talking dense, lush, green forests surrounded by pristine, crystal-clear blue water. I mean, it literally looks like an absolute paradise, right? The kind of untouched haven we all dream about escaping to.
But here's the massive, shocking twist. Visiting this specific island could actually be one of the absolute worst decisions of your life. Seriously, it's not a tourist destination, and it's definitely not some hidden vacation spot. In fact, the government has completely 100% banned people from going there. It is entirely off-limits to the public.
So that kind of begs a huge question, right? Why on earth is a place that looks this incredibly beautiful, surrounded by these dramatic, gorgeous ocean scenes, strictly off-limits to the entire world? Like, what could possibly make this tropical paradise so absolutely forbidden? Well, to understand why, let's just dive right into the story in today's explainer. The place we're talking about is called North Sentinel Island. It's located smack in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and officially, it's part of India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It just sits out there, covered in this deep, dense forest, completely surrounded by those crystal blue waters we were just talking about. Now, the reason this island is so completely unique really comes down to the people who live there. North Sentinel Island is home to one of the world's most isolated groups of people, known as the Sentinelese tribe. And the timeline of their isolation is it's staggering. We're talking thousands of years. Literally thousands of years where they've lived almost entirely cut off from the rest of the modern world. And the contrast here is just incredible. While the modern world around them is advanced with, smartphones, global trade, and constant connectivity, the Sentinelese survive entirely on traditional methods. They hunt, they fish, and they live off the land exactly as their ancestors have done for generations. Actually, scientists believe they've had very, very little contact with outsiders throughout their entire recorded history.
And you know what? They want to keep it exactly that way. It's like this fascinating story from a totally different era, but it's happening right now, today. Whenever outsiders in boats try to approach the island shores, the tribe's response is incredibly consistent and, well, crystal clear. They issue a very stark warning: stay away. They absolutely do not want visitors, and they make sure approaching boats know it.
But here's where things get really fascinating, because this completely flips the script on who is actually in danger here. We might initially think the ban is just to protect outsiders from, a hostile reception. But the biggest threat is actually what we might bring to them. Because the Sentinelese have lived in such extreme isolation for so long, they haven't been exposed to the everyday germs we carry. This means they completely lack immunity to modern diseases. So, the crucial takeaway here is this. Even a common, everyday illness, something as simple as a cold or a mild flu that wouldn't bother you or me much at all, could be extremely dangerous, literally catastrophic for the Sentinelese. Their bodies just don't have the natural defenses built up against the stuff we just walk around with every single day.
And that intense vulnerability to our everyday illnesses, that's actually one of the biggest reasons why the Indian government stepped in. They didn't just put up a keep out sign. No, they created a massive, incredibly strict, protected zone completely surrounding the island, all to ensure the tribe's safety and survival.
And let me tell you, the rules of this protected zone are absolute. It is strictly banned. Nobody, and I mean no tourists, no explorers, no curious boaters looking for an adventure, nobody is allowed to visit the island or even get close to its shores without very special, highly regulated permission from the government. And frankly, that permission is almost never granted. So because of this extreme vulnerability, the modern world essentially has to tiptoe around this ancient society. It's wild. We can clearly see the island from space satellites, right down to the dense tree lines, but we have to keep our distance. Even airplanes and helicopters are instructed to avoid flying too low over the area so they don't disturb the people living there. And because of all this protection, the Sentinelese continue to live much like their ancient ancestors did thousands of years ago. They are literally one of the absolute last completely isolated tribes left on planet Earth. So, while North Sentinel Island might boast the crystal clear waters and lush greenery of a tropical paradise, it's a bit deceptive, right? It holds a much, much deeper significance. It remains one of the greatest mysteries on Earth, and undeniably one of the most heavily protected places in the entire world. So, I've got to ask you, knowing the history, the incredible isolation, and the immense life-or-death risks involved for the people who actually live there, would you ever even want to visit an island that nobody is allowed to enter?
If you loved unraveling this mystery, make sure to hit subscribe to Curious Ledger.
We're constantly exploring strange facts, hidden stories, and unbelievable discoveries from all over the world. Thanks for hanging out with me for today's Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.